Good evening, and welcome to Ignite Your Soul Connection. We are in the conversation of spiritual leadership. This is day 5 of our full week of workshops. I would like to thank you for joining us. We are overjoyed to share this gift with you. And thank you again for all that you have shared. We've had people calling in. We've had people on the line, and it has been absolutely fabulous. So this is, as I said, this is day 5. All this week we have been talking about spiritual leadership in different contexts, okay? So we started off with spiritual leadership with Iccha David. He explained some work that he's doing with the cycle of peace. So that's spiritual leadership in our community. And then we had Kavan Ware come on, and he talked about spiritual leadership inside of the conversation of business. After that, we had a tag team of Timothy and DeQuay Glenn. They came on, and they talked with us about spiritual leadership inside of relationships. And then just last night, we had the amazing Catrice White-Scott, and she was on and she talked with us about spiritual leadership inside of the context of family and parenting. So here we are on day 5, and I'm super excited. I hope you can tell that I'm excited because I really am. We are going to have Mu Shemsu-t this evening, and she is going to talk with us about spiritual leadership inside of the context of education. I want to tell you a little bit about her, and then we're going to jump right in because, like I said, I'm excited, and it's time to get it started, okay? So Rita Mu Shemsu-t is the originator of Ignite Your Soul Connection. The first show was produced in December of 2011. Mu Shemsu-t is an executive life coach right here in Chicago with more than 30 years of experience in counseling and coaching others towards the life that they love. Although she spent her earlier part of her career in corporate America as an IT educational consultant, she found a master force in the early 90s to begin addressing the needs of our youth, their families, and our community as a whole. As a published author, Mu Shemsu-t published her first book in January of 2003 entitled Patiently Waiting for Nothing. It is currently available as an ebook on Amazon.com. The second edition of this book will be available early 2014 as we celebrate 11 years of this spiritual inquiry. The Masterforce International Leadership Academy was brought to life in 2010 as Mu Shemsu-t, in her role as transformational life coach, produced courses and curriculums to certify life coaches who desired to make a difference in the life of others. There are now over 35 Masterforce life coaches, hand held high, I'm one of them, supporting increase and high vibration in the lives of many. So, oh my goodness, Mu Shemsu-t, there's so many more things I could
say. We've been working, Iccha.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. And I've said so much here. Is there anything else that you want to say about yourself or about what you've been doing just now, this year?
Well, I think the most exciting thing for me is that I am also a mother of 3 and a grandmother of 4. So that is probably one of the most exciting parts of my life that I enjoy that I don't get to ask about too often. So I think that that qualifies as some level of expertise when you can say that you're a grandmother. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So as I was going through and doing the introduction, I was really, really excited to list off all the different topics that we talked about this week. There have been so many dynamic interchanges and exchanges of ideas and sharing of concepts this week, and I am oh so happy that we've now come to our culmination to day 5, and we're going to talk about something that's very dear to my heart. You know me, very dear to my heart, which is spiritual leadership inside of the context of education. So I really want to jump right in and start us off with our first question. I want to, before I go there, remind everybody that's on the line, first of all, again, thank you for joining us. Second of all, this is a teleconference that is being provided to our community by Master Force Incorporated as our gift to the community. And it is an interactive conference. So if you should desire to make a question or a comment, you can go to Ignite Your Soul Connection on Facebook and post your question there. You also can press the number 1 on your keypad, and we'll get you right on the line, okay? So before we get started, just wanted to put that out there. So now, Rita, Mu Shemsu-t?
Yes.
What?
You can call me either one, whichever name you want, I will respond to.
Either one? I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to start off with Rita.
Okay.
So, Rita, what role do you think spiritual leadership plays in education? Can you open this up for us so we can start to feel into this topic?
Yes, it's very interesting because when I first started looking at that conversation for myself, what I was able to distinguish is that there was a time that we actually looked to the church to guide us in the light of spirit, or what our spiritual life would be like, and educate us on that. And as we've come to this time in life, we realize that the church has been more about business, it's more corporation, and it really doesn't provide the relationship with the universe or God or whatever that we need as individuals in order to sustain ourselves. And so when we look now, we have to say, where can we get this? Where do we teach our children about connecting, being connected, aligning, understanding the vibration of their own life and the responsibility that they have for frequency and energy? Where do we learn that? How do we teach that? And that's not a curriculum any place that I know of. So parents have to pretty much develop themselves or develop their own capacity to understand how that operates so that they can teach their children. And this is what we've taken on at Master Force for the last 20 years. We have been teaching last night that we have mobile curriculums that we share where we talk about MARV, the Life Quadrant, Brief Center, and a few other topics where we share publicly with people. And then we have advanced courses and advanced themes that we share with people who are life coaches. But those are the type of educational needs that we need to have, or we're seeking, but now we have to create other entities, other places.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for sharing that. Yes, that's helpful in opening that up. The mobile curriculum that you spoke of inside of Master Force and those different words that you said, did you want to mention anything about that now, or do you want to save that and we can jump into that a little bit later?
Either way, I mean, if it fits right now, since I brought it up, I can share about it. The mobile curriculum that we'd like to, and when I say mobile, many of us go out and we speak to different organizations. We also, several of us teach classes. We have our own coaching and training centers. Many of us, I believe Greg is going to be on with us in a little bit, and he has his own training center. So we have a mobile curriculum that we share amongst the coaches that they can use with their clients and use in their public speaking engagements. And one of them, which is the flagship of Master Force, is called the MARV technique. So MARV is the acronym for meditation, affirmation, relaxation, and visualization. And we've been able to share this now for over 20 years, teaching people how to be still inside themselves as they go forward and make goals and create intentions in the world, instead of getting so caught up in doing. People are burning themselves out because they don't know that there's a universe that is so ready to provide for them, so ready to give them all of the answers, so ready to guide, so ready to surprise them, if they would just tune in, and listen to the intuition and guidance from the inside. So the MARV technique actually provides a structure, kind of like a guideline for them to use as they're creating different intentions and goals in their lives. And then the second one is the learning quadrant, where we look at how do you take in information. So the learning quadrant is mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. We've been taught, I think most of our life, mentally, 90% of our education has been mental. So how do we learn emotionally? How do we learn physically? How do we learn spiritually? So, that means that we 3/4 of our learning is not addressed. It's not addressed.
Absolutely. And so what you're basically saying with the learning quadrants, I want to just give people just a little bit of a visual. If you imagine a circle broken down into 4, and what I'm hearing you say is that this mental way that we've been taught is just 1/4 of that total pie. So the other 3 ways, they're not regularly being addressed in our regular educational lives.
Exactly. So you get to a point where you talk about emotional intelligence, physical intelligence, spiritual intelligence. It's nil. People don't know what you're talking about. Intuition. What is that? How do I know? How do I know when my intuition is talking to me? What is my third eye? How do I activate and decalcify my pineal gland? All of those things are a spiritual conversation that no one is having with us, unless, of course, they're a part of, some society that also then takes on a hierarchy as well. So we think that spiritual education or spiritual leadership, part of our role as Master Force, is to provide that direction. We're not about people following us or joining us or anything. We're just about providing information, knowledge, and people can use it, go and teach it. They can do whatever they want with it. Our idea is to share and grow our community. We like to expand the vision and increase the flow.
Excellent.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And then go ahead. I was going to say the third one is breathe to center. And that's probably our major, that's one of the first themes that we teach inside of all of our courses, teaching people how to effectively breathe. And as they get even more astute at breathing, it becomes a healing acronym. The idea is that we can stimulate healing in our body with our breath. But we first have to learn how to breathe correctly. So breathe to center is one of those modalities that we teach in our mobile curriculum as well.
Great. Good evening. Good evening. I'm glad to be with you, ladies. I slipped into the room here. When you talked about breathing to center, how do you incorporate that in the learning environment? Have you found a way to do that in the your traditional classroom settings, or when you're doing webinars? Are you using it in any way?
Yes, actually, I use Breathe to Center on many of my webinars, and it's one of those pieces, I believe, every chance that I get, I teach people the correct way to breathe. every chance that I get. I even go to, a lot of times when I go to schools or I'm teaching in community centers, I usually address the breathing, proper breathing, because sometimes I don't know if this may be the only time I will get to be with these children or adults or whoever it is I'm working with. So teaching people proper breathing, I believe, is crucial. Even if we're just planting the seed, they can begin to seek more information themselves about the power of the breath. But most people